Hi, church family. We wanted to share our testimony of God's healing power and also wanted to express our gratitude to the entire Plantation church family for all the support and all the prayers during this very challenging time for our family.
We received a lot of texts and a lot of phone calls from the church members all checking on us. We wanted to say a special thank you to the Hugh family who graciously brought us a lot of food, a lot of groceries, really good food. I appreciate it, you guys. Coconut water, some natural remedies. We also wanted to thank Elder Barbara Samuels, who went to visit my wife Nadege in the hospital while she was in the ICU. I think she went to visit her twice and anointed her once in the hospital.
So we won't make this too long, and we'll try to keep it brief. But our story, I guess, started around July 13th when we found out that my mom tested positive for COVID-19. We had Sabbath lunch with her the 2 days prior to that. And so shortly after that, it was the middle of the week. Sean, myself, and Kenzie, our 4-year-old daughter, we all started to show symptoms. We started to have the fevers, the body aches. Thankfully with Kenzie, our daughter, her fevers lasted maybe
24 hours
or less. And so just with some Tylenol and some rest, she got better. And with Sean, who I was so worried about because he's immunosuppressed, and of course as a mom being so concerned about Kenzie as well, so I was really worried about both of them. Sean's fevers lasted for 2 to 3 days.
Closer to a week in totality. A lot of fevers, muscle aches, body aches, tiredness, and close to the end of everything for me, I started having some shortness of breath, but it didn't last more than a couple of days. And at that point, I started to make a turn for the better, and my wife started to take more of a turn for the worse.
So meanwhile, we found out that my dad tested positive as well, and as a chronic kidney disease patient on dialysis, we were a little bit concerned about that. He started to have the fevers, the body aches as well. So as you can imagine, it was just a nightmare with everything that was going on. My symptoms started to very slowly become more severe. My fevers were in the range of 102, 103 with very little help using Tylenol. I felt just really, really sick. I checked into Memorial West where they did a chest x-ray and told me that I had pneumonia on both sides of my lungs. And they kept me overnight just for monitoring and sent me home the next day. Over the next 2 to 3 days, I really started to feel really bad. I was unable to walk. I felt very weak. I began to become short of breath to the point where talking was difficult. Even trying to get up out of bed, I would be gasping for air, and it would cause a coughing fit. So that's when we decided again to check into Memorial West. So I got there, got to the emergency department. The medical staff there immediately gave me oxygen because I was so out of breath. I could barely even explain to them what was going on with me. Thankfully, they already had the records and they were able to read through that. So they started me on oxygen and multiple therapies, the plasma and IV antibiotics. And then the doctor, he called the room phone, because that's how most of the medical staff is communicating with you, is through the phone. And he explained that my respiratory status was so life-threatening based on the amount of oxygen that I was requiring and what my chest x-ray looked like. And that was a very lonely and dark moment for me, being all alone without my husband there or family, because they weren't allowed to be there. So they started me on the medications, and within 2 to 4 days, I really started to feel a lot better and was able to start breathing better on my own, without the oxygen. And some of the medical staff, they were so surprised at how quickly my respiratory status was recovering. And I just knew it was because of the prayers that were sent up on my behalf. I knew family was praying, and church family was praying, and friends and co-workers. And I just felt the positivity, I felt the prayers, I felt the support, and was so grateful for that. So to try to wrap this up, I was discharged after 5 days and came home. And after coming home, I'll be honest, the recovery has been a lot slower than I anticipated. I thought I would just come home and continue to get better. I came home and had some severe just weakness in my legs. I could barely walk, was walking very, very slow, had some continued chest tightness, and did some like home remedies and therapies to help with that. But we want to thank God, and we're so grateful that He's brought us through, all of us, safely through this period. And our hearts go out to other families who going through this same experience. And again, we want to thank our church family.
Yeah, she said it all. Through this whole thing, when things started to get really bad, and I'm here at home dealing with our 4-year-old, and every day Kenzie's asking, when is mommy coming home from the hospital? When is mommy coming home from the hospital? And I didn't really have an answer other than I don't know, but she has to stay there until she's better. She wanted to write her get well cards. We FaceTimed, as often as we could in the evenings, just so that Kenzie got her fix of mommy for the day. When it did get bad, I did reach out to the men's ministry department. I reached out to Hugh. I'm one of those people, I don't like to burden people with my problems, with things that are going on with my life. So for me to do that, it had to be something serious. It had to be something heavy. And he came through, like I couldn't believe someone would come through. Within seconds, there were, text messages in the men's ministry chat coming to me. Phone calls were coming within the hour, and through the rest of that week. And it was within that time that Nadege started to get better, like probably about a day and a half after those prayers started coming in. She started getting better, and I got the call that she would be able to come home on a Thursday, which was, I think, the 5th day or the 6th day that she was in the hospital at that time. So it was a lot faster, a lot sooner than I thought she would be coming home, just on how bad she was going in. But it's only by the grace of God that she was able to make such a rapid recovery to the point where she was able to get out of the hospital. And I know that it was only the prayers sent up from our church family that allowed this to happen.
So we We thank you guys for allowing us to share our testimony, and we hope that it encourages somebody who is going through something right now and maybe wondering if God is still there, if God still cares, if God is still working. We are living proof that He is actually still working and healing people, because I know that He healed us. So again, thank you all for all the support, for all the love. It was so very meaningful to our family. Thank you again.
Thank you, Plantation SDA.